Red Dirt Bridge, everybody, except for the name. And someday when you're all old enough, I'll explain the reason to you. But for now, let's just go with Red Dirt Bridge and get in today's lesson here. Today we're going to be talking about ways to bid slam when you have a void, as well as ways to show a void when your partner asks you how many controls you have or key cards. Some of this you have heard before. Some of it will be new. And I've thrown in a little bit of information about a bid called Josephine. And I'll explain that when we get to it. That's one of the nicknames for it, actually. This lesson came about because one of the attendees asked me to do it. She says, well, if you can't use Blackwood when you have a void, what do you do? What are you supposed to do? Well, Mr. Blackwood himself had several comments on that. One of them I put on the first slide here about something he said after he developed the convention. He said, if I had a dime for every time a partnership was helped by using Blackwood, I'd be well off. But if I had that dime for each time it was misused, I'd be a millionaire. And he said, remember, he died a number of years ago. So a millionaire back then was more significant than it is today. It is very true that Blackwood is misused. The most important thing for you to remember, if you're thinking about it, is never use Blackwood if there is an answer your partner can give you that does not help you. If it doesn't answer your questions, then Blackwood is not the bid. In other words, if you won't be able to tell what to do after your partner responds, then Blackwood is not the route to go. Generally, this happens. You need to be missing more than one key card. Let's say you're missing 2 aces in a side suit, and you're thinking that you ask partner how many he has, and he says, I have 1. Well, is that enough information? Can you make a decision? You can't make the decision if you have a void, because Blackwood is wonderful for telling you how many aces or key cards your partner has, but it doesn't tell you which ones. You're not interested in the ace of your void suit. You're really only interested in the other one that you're missing. But it's not possible to differentiate using regular garden variety Blackwood or Roman key card. So basically, if you can't tell what to do after your partner gives you one of the answers that are possible, in other words, you're missing 2 key cards. If you're missing only one, then you basically know he either has it or he doesn't by his response. And so Blackwood helps you in that instance. But when you're missing 2 of them, if you can't tell what to do, then don't use Blackwood. Now that leads directly to the next corollary. Never use Blackwood with a void if you're missing more than 1 key card. If you're missing only 1, if you ask and partner says, I have 1, well, now you know that partner has the ace of your void suit. The other time when you don't want to use Blackwood is if you have a worthless doubleton or tripleton in a side suit and you're missing 2 key cards. If your partner shows you 1, you don't know whether he has a control in that worthless side suit you have or whether it complements your holding in one of your other suits. So these are the principal 2 instances when Blackwood is not helpful. And if it doesn't, you never want to ask a question if the answer doesn't help you, regardless of what bid you're considering using. Typically, people say that the stronger hand should use Blackwood, but sometimes that's the responder, isn't it? Sometimes the responder is the one with the big hand. So it's not always the opening bidder who will use it. But the stronger hand generally has more information in his hand, and so can use the information that he gets from partner better than the weaker hand. So those are the two rules about when you don't use Blackwood and the reasons why you don't. There can be other problems too with using key card or Blackwood. It's a 4 no trump bid. It forces you to the 5 level. That means that if you're interested in a minor suit slam or clubs here, as I mentioned in the example, if you need to have 2 key cards to be able to bid 6 clubs, if he has only one of them, what are you going to do? He's going to bid 5 clubs if you use Roman key card, which is nice. But if you don't, he's going to bid 5 diamonds. Or if you play 30-14, he's going to bid 5 diamonds. And now you're forced to 6 clubs. What can you do if I want to stop in 5 no trump. I want to stop in 5 no trump. But after I bid 4 no trump, if I bid 5 no trump, that's asking for kings. My partner will continue bidding. If I bid 5 no trump, how do I do that? The answer is you use an unbid suit at the 5 level. The bid of an unbid suit at the 5 level, so long as it is not the suit that is the queen ask. If you play 14-30, for instance, if you bid 5 spades over partner's answer to your key card bid, the bid of a previously unbid suit or one that makes no sense in that sequence asks your partner to bid 5 no trump, and then you can pass. This comes up so seldom that the one and only time it has ever come up in a partnership I was playing, I missed it. But that's the way you stop in 5 no trump if you want to, if you can remember it. I did not remember it. I now think I probably would remember it, having missed it and made a royal mess out of the hand. But who knows? Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. The other thing that sometimes happens when you're using an ace asking bid is you have all the outside suits covered, but you're not sure about the quality of the trump suit. If all you need to make a grand slam is good trumps, then the grand slam force is very useful. This very seldom comes up either, and I don't recommend pulling it off if you're playing with a new partner or you have not previously discussed this bid. Pulling out undiscussed bids is asking for trouble. Ask me how I know that. It may be the perfect situation for using it, but if you and your partner have not discussed it, odds are not good that it's going to end well. So what is the Grand Slam force? The Grand Slam force is bidding 5 no trump without bidding 4 no trump first. It's a big old jump to 5 no trump. And it asks your partner to bid the Grand Slam with 2 of the top 3 trump honors, or to bid 6 if he doesn't have 2 of the top 3. In other words, it's forcing to at least 6 of the suit. Now, if you previously bid Blackwood, then you can use 6 of a new suit bid as the Grand Slam force, which is called Josephine. Josephine is named after the For those of you who are unfamiliar with Culbertson, he started the Bridge World magazine, which is a favorite of bridge players. At high level bridge players really like it. And he and Ellie Culbertson, or Ellie and Josephine, played together for quite a while and were very successful. They were married for about 15 years during the 20s and 30s, and subsequently divorced. But she's the one who published this convention in the bridge world. So that's why it's called Josephine. She did not use Josephine as her name. She was called Jo. But nonetheless, the convention is called Josephine. And I think it's kind of interesting. It's a little bit of bridge history in here. And as I said, this seldom comes up, but it's a fun thing to look at. So what does the bid of 5 of a major mean? When is it a Josephine bid? Well, when you have agreed a major suit and you jump directly to 5 of that suit. It's called the voluntary bid of 5 of the major suit. Or when you support your partner's major suit on the 5 level. Those are the 2 times when the bid of 5 of the major is called Josephine. And here are the responses. If you have 0 or 1 of the top honors in the trump suit, you just pass 5. And you play 5. Hopefully you will make it. If you have 6, or I'm sorry, if you have 2 of the top trump honors, 2 of the top 3, then you bid 6 of the major. And if you have all 3, then you bid 5 no trump. And then partner will place the contract appropriately. He may place it in 7 of the suit or 7 no trump. It depends on the nature of his hand. Now, jumping directly to 5 no trump is also a Josephine bid. After you have agreed a trump suit, and this is the Grand Slam force. It asks about high cards in the trump suit, and this is the easiest version to remember because, well, number 1, it rarely comes up. But if you have 2 of the top 3, you bid 6, and if you have 3, I'm sorry, that should be 3 of the top 3 to bid 7. Partner is only making that bid because he's unsure about the quality of the trump suit and needs to know. He thinks there's at least a small slam available. And so he can jump to 5 no trump, skipping 4 no trump, saying, please tell me how good your trump suit is. If you have none of those top 3, then you just pass. If you have 6 of the trump suit, it denies having 2 of the top 3. It says I have 1 of the top 3. And if you bid 7 of them, then you have 2 of the top 3 here, because the person doing the asking really shouldn't be off all 3. I mean, it's possible that he might be. He might have nice support headed by the jack. But in general, bidding 7 of the trump suit only requires 2 of the top 3 in this instance. So some examples here. Rather than talking about these things in the abstract here, this is East's hand. West opens the bidding 1 spade, and East responds 2 hearts. I think you can see that that's appropriate. And West says 3 hearts. So now it's back to East. What should East do? His partner opened the bidding. He has 15 high card points, a 6-card suit, and a void. That's pretty strong. Makes it highly likely that there is a slam. But I'm missing 2 key cards. Even though I have a void, I'm missing the ace of spades and the ace of diamonds. Could he have both of those cards? Could West have both those cards? He could. But his outside values could be in clubs. And if his outside values are in clubs, then that's of no use to me. That's known as a duplication of values, and it's been known to get a lot of people in trouble. So here, rather than bidding 4 no trump, because if partner shows you 1 key card, you don't know which one it is. So what East should do, if you don't bid first and second round controls, is bid 4 clubs. showing first round control of clubs. If you bid Italian the way I do, you would bid 3 spades there, showing a first or second round control in spades. I wouldn't necessarily want to do that though, because my partner might interpret that as 3-card support. I would be inclined not to do that, because in this auction, a bid of 3 spades, even though we have agreed a trump suit can be interpreted in several different ways. So I would probably choose to bid 4 clubs here. See if my partner can bid 4 diamonds. If he can bid 4 diamonds, now I can bid 4 no trump, because I'm missing only 1 key card. So, in other words, this is an example. No control asking bid should be used if the person doing the asking cannot handle any response from the partner. I have another example that was provided by Mr. Blackwood himself a long time ago. So let's look at it too. In this case, South opens a spade. West overcalls 2 hearts. Wait a minute. This is the South hand. I'm sorry, I didn't specify. No, it isn't. This is the North hand. I'm sorry, North hand. His partner opens a spade. West interferes, overcalling 2 hearts. North bids 3 clubs. That's certainly a nice club suit, isn't it? And South raises clubs. Yippee, we found a fit. West passes this time, and now it comes back to North. Well, what should I do? Did my partner promise me the ace of spades, or even one of the top honors in spades when he opened 1 spade? I don't know about you guys, but I sometimes pick up opening hands that has a 5-card major suit in it headed by the 9, and that's the suit I open. So partner may or may not have one or both of the spade honors. But even so, I'm missing the key card in hearts and the key card in clubs as well. Even if you take a very optimistic viewpoint and say, my partner's got to have one of the tops, So I don't know. What should I do? What should I do? Well, I've got a mess stuff here. Everybody see that slide all right, or are you seeing my microphone message?
We're seeing the slide. We're seeing the slide, Susan, but your audio has dropped a few times briefly.
Not sure why this is happening all the
including right then.
Yeah.
We didn't really hear what you said just a second ago.
Oh, you can't hear this as well? This is actually quite a lot closer.
That's great.
Oh, okay. I'll leave it here. All right. Now, if South has 2 aces or key cards, 6 clubs can be made. Well, what if North bids 4 no trump and discovers that South has 2, he's forced to 6 clubs over the 5 heart response. May or may not be a good contract. We don't know which 2 aces he has. This is a case where you shouldn't use Blackwood, because you don't know which 2 partner has. You're missing 3 key cards, even though this is a very strong hand. This, especially in light of the bidding, partner has supported your clubs. But you're still missing 3 key cards. And if partner shows you 2 of them by bidding 5 hearts, then what are we going to do? We're forced to 6 clubs, but we may have 2 fast spade losers. Or we may have 1 fast spade loser and a heart loser. We don't know. Instead, here, of bidding 4 no trump, North needs to bid 4 diamonds. Maybe that'll be enough information that his partner can bid 4 no trump. because bidding that after you've had suit agreement here, or yeah, trump suit agreement, bidding another suit at the 4 level is a slam try, saying I have first or second round control if you're below the game level here, or first round control if that's your agreement. So maybe if your partner knows that you have the diamond control, maybe that's all he needs to be able to bid 4 no trump. But here for North to bid 4 no trump is just simply not appropriate, even though this is a very good hand. Now then, how about this next hand? There are a lot of people that picking up this hand would say, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, if my partner has anything at all, I think I'm going to play 6 spades here. Well, some people would open this, as an aside here, some people would open this 4 spades. I want to make the point again, as I have many, many times, that this hand is far too good to preempt. If you just absolutely have to force your partner, think about opening at 2 clubs. This is a 4 loser hand, so it certainly qualifies, even though it does not have 22 high card points in it. It has 1 club loser, 2 diamond losers, and a spade loser. That is 9 playing tricks. And that is one of the criteria for opening 2 clubs. But let's say that you decide that partner may be completely busted and you open 1 spade. That is not unreasonable at all. So partner now bids 3 spades. If that's a limit raise in your methods, then now you're off to the races. But this is not a Blackwood hand. Why is it not a Blackwood hand? Because you have that worthless doubleton in diamonds. If partner shows you only 1 key card and let's face it, you're only missing 2 key cards. It's entirely possible that he has only 1. And if he has only 1, you have a lot more interest in knowing whether it's the ace of diamonds or the ace of clubs. So I read a quote by Larry Cohen here to remind everybody, you use Blackwood only if partner's key card count or ace count will specifically answer the question you need answered. Or in other words, it will specifically indicate whether or not a slam is available. Otherwise, you need to use something else. All right, so what are something else? I talked about Q bids here. When you have a void, Q bids can be very, very helpful. But of course, there is another convention out there. There are so many conventions. There is a convention that can specifically be used when you're interested in slam and you have a void in your hand. It's called Exclusion Blackwood, or Voidwood, as some people say. And it was developed by Bobby Goldman, who is a well-known expert in the history of bridge. And if you like gadgets, then it's an okay gadget. But I had it on my card for about, 6 or 8 years, and it never came up. And so I took it off. It just takes up too many of my gray cells to try to remember stuff that never comes up. So what is Exclusion Blackwood exactly? And what does it ask partner? And how does it show partner that I have a void? Well, you jump directly to another suit at the 4 or 5 level. It's always a jump. And it says, partner, I have a void in this suit. I am interested in bidding a slam, and I don't need to know about any key card you may hold in this suit. Please tell me how many other key cards you have, but don't count any key card in this suit. Sounds convoluted, but it's not. Here's an example. 1 heart by opener, 3 hearts, limit raise by the responder. 4 spades, the jump directly to 4 spades shows a spade void if you play Exclusion Blackwood. If you happen to play kickback for your ace asking bid over the majors, then that's not what this bid means. You have to choose which one you're going to use. Not that many people play kickback though. So 4 spades by the opener here shows a spade void, and it asks partner to show key cards excluding the ace of spades. Another one, 1 spade, 3 spades, 5 diamonds, shows a diamond void and says, please tell me how many other key cards you hold. I don't need to know about the ace of diamonds. Well, okay, that's all well and good, but what is the responder supposed to do when the ace asker uses this bid? Well, you have a couple of options here. You can choose to use the same ones you do for responding to 4 no trump. In other words, if you play 1430, then the first step up would be 1 or 4. The second step up would be 3 or 0, et cetera, right on up the ladder, just like you normally would use. The other option for responding to Exclusion Blackwood is a little more economical, because let's face it, you want to convey as much information as possible. And if you can do that economically and save some bidding space, then that's a good thing. So following an Exclusion Blackwood bid, the next suit up, the first step, says, I have no key cards, partner, sorry. Well, that didn't take up much space at all, did it? Instead of skipping to show 3 or 0 and having your partner have to guess, the first step just says, I have no key cards, and you can get out cheaply. The second step up says, I have 1 key card, but I don't have the trump queen. Hope that helps you. The third step up is, I have 1 key card, and I also have the trump queen. Also very important information. The fourth step, and by now you're getting pretty high up there, so you have 2 key cards. And if you should ever get to the 5th step, I have never seen one go this high, but I haven't seen very many of these bids, I'll just be honest. 2 key cards plus the trump queen. Remember, the key cards being shown do not include the ace of the suit just bid by your partner. You have to remember not to count that one. So if partner is asking and you have as high as the 5th step, I would say that's probably a very, very distributional hand.
Susan, there's a question from Roy.
Sure, go ahead, Roy.
Susan, can you relate that to your example where a 5 diamond shows the void? And how does responder use the first step, second step, third step?
Sure, yes. Okay, let's
So
say you're.
do you use no trump?
That one where the opener jumped to 5 diamonds right here.
Correct.
Let's say that responder has no key cards. He just bids 5 hearts, and opener can stop in 5 spades. No harm, no foul. If he has 1 key card, then he will bid 5 spades. If he has 1 key card and the trump queen, he'll bid 5 no trump.
So you include no trump in that?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next step would be
the next
6
step
clubs.
Is 6 clubs. If you have 2 key cards, I have an example here in the slide set of bidding this here.
Okay.
6 clubs would be then 2 key cards, I believe, unless I've lost track. 5 no trump was, 2 key cards, no trump queen, and then 6 diamonds would be 2 key cards and the trump queen.
Got it. Thank you.
You bet. Here we go. Here's an example right here. All 4 hands are shown. West opens 1 heart. He has a decent hand, not fabulous, but decent. North passes and East bids 2 diamonds. Well, West says, well, hey, that's pretty good. I have diamond support. I'm going to bid 3 diamonds. And now, I mean, look at this East hand. Once West shows diamond support, all of a sudden he has a monster, doesn't he? But he has that stinking worthless doubleton in hearts, but his partner opened hearts, and based on the number of high card points that East has, it's highly likely that he's got to have some kind of a top honor in hearts and spades both. So he jumps to 4 spades, saying, tell me how many key cards you have, but don't count the ace of spades. This is on the 4 level rather than the 5 level, but it's spades and it's a jump. Notice if he jumped to 5 spades, that would be something completely different, and it would take away the bidding room. So after 4 spades, and somebody's going to ask me in a minute whether this is alertable. Ace asking bids are not generally considered to be alertable, but in the interest of full disclosure, I might alert it anyway. Just simply because I have a tendency to over alert rather than under alert. So you don't have to alert it, but it's the sportsmanlike thing to do, I think, because not everybody uses this bid. So now in this case, the response, let's look at the West hand here. He doesn't have the ace of spades, so that doesn't worry him. He says, oh, okay, spade void. Well, okay, that's all right. How many key cards do I have outside the spades? I have 2. I have the ace of hearts and the king of diamonds, but I don't have the trump queen. So that means that my response, if I'm thinking about it, 4 no trump would be no key card. 5 clubs would be 1 key card, no queen. 5 diamonds would be 1 key card with the queen. 5 hearts is 2 key cards, no queen. The bidding comes back around to East and he says, fantastic, fantastic. 2 key cards. I asked him not to tell me about the ace of spades. So I know he has the ace of hearts and I know he has the king of diamonds. Those are the only ones left. Once I've excluded spades, these are the only ones left, and bid 6 diamonds. And I think you can see that it's absolutely cold. Shouldn't be a problem at all. Now then, if you're using the regular 1430 steps, then the response would be 5 diamonds here. 2 key cards. That's it. Okay, here's another one. 1 heart by West again, 2 diamonds by East. West rebids 3 hearts. And now East bids 4. South overcalled 2 spades. I'm sorry. I skipped that. South overcalls 2 spades. West bids 3 hearts. That's entirely appropriate. He has 6 of them, and they're beautiful hearts. Now, East says, oh, okay, well, I was going to support hearts, but now all I need to know is whether or not my partner has the ace of spades and the top 2 trump cards here. I know it couldn't have much at all in the minor suits because I have it. So 4 spades. Then the 5 spade response says, I have 2 key cards, not counting the ace of spades, and I have the queen of trumps. And now East bids 7 hearts. And I think you can see that it's cold. It will be really hard to get to 7 hearts if you don't use that. It's possible. You can Q bid. After the bid of 3 hearts, 3 spades would, or 3 hearts would be setting the trump suit. And then if West just bids 4, then East can go on by Q bidding 4 spades. You can get there, but it's going to be hard because West doesn't have anything to show after a control showing bid by East. It is much easier if you have Exclusion Blackwood to find it on this particular hand. But look at that East hand. These kinds of hands come up so seldom, particularly when your partner has opened, that I don't encourage anybody who's not in a very seriously committed partnership to use this bid. But people wanted to know, what do I do when I have a void? This is one of your options if you can remember it. But I will tell you, it does not come up very often. So there are some things that if you decide you want to play it, that you need to talk about with your partner. One of them involves competitive bidding. You know, the opponents are always going to interfere if they can. I mean, opponents just get peskier and peskier every year. So in this instance, West opens a heart, East bids 3 hearts, and South jumps in there with 3 spades. What does 4 spades mean by West here? It's not a jump, but might it be exclusion Blackwood? It could be. Or does it just show a first round control? This is something that you need to talk about. The other thing is when the opponents double or overcall an exclusion Blackwood bid, you can go back to using DEPO, DOPI, and ROPI, the way we talked about a couple of years ago when we talked about slam bidding. Here's an example of interference by the opponents, and North took his partner's double very seriously. 1 heart by West, 3 hearts by East, double by South, 4 spades. That is exclusion Blackwood, or it should be. 3 spades is the control showing Q bid here, because 4 spades goes past 4 hearts. So 4 spades is exclusion Blackwood, and now we have this interference here, 5 clubs. Whatever is East supposed to do? I don't know about you, but if you don't think about this, it's bound to come up. If you use DEPO, double shows an even number of key cards and pass shows an odd number. So in this instance, if East has an even number, then he will double. If he has an odd number, he passes. That's fairly informative, not as descriptive as if North hadn't bid, but you know, you have to deal with what is. So this is one thing that you should talk about with your partners. I don't often get interference or doubling in a Blackwood auction, except for the response. Sometimes, once in a great while, somebody will double a response asking for the lead of that suit because it's an artificial bid. Remember, doubling any artificial bid asks partner to lead that suit if he's on lead. So here's another one that you need to think about. 1 heart, 2 hearts, 4 clubs. Is that a splinter bid? Or is it exclusion Blackwood, showing a club void? Well, 5 clubs could be used as exclusion Blackwood here. So it's possible to play both, but you got to talk about it if you're going to. So even though these conventions seem logical and useful, you have to talk about the ways that they can complicate auctions and also what you're giving up if you agree to play it. That's always an important consideration, no matter what convention you're talking about. What do I give up? Well, I give up the natural meaning of the bid. Which is more important to me? Which comes up more often? What is our partnership style? So another topic for partnership agreement. It's amazing how often that phrase comes up, isn't it? So now, one more occasion. How to show a void in an ace-asking sequence. Your partner bid for no trump after you and your partner have agreed on the trump suit, and you have a void. When I first learned to play, one of the first things I learned was through bitter experience was that one never counts a void as an ace when responding to a Blackwood inquiry. Sometimes that makes your partner think that he wants to go for that extra 10 points that the no trump contract gives you and bid 6 or 7 no trump instead of 6 or 7 of your suit. And lo and behold, what happens after that is there's no other way to describe it. It's ugly. So never count a void as an ace when you're responding. So, okay, how can I tell my partner I have a void if he's bid 4 no trump asking for controls? How can I do it? Well, you don't absolutely have to. But there are a lot of people who like to be very precise in their bidding. And so this is the way you would do that. Now, this doesn't come up very often either, but it comes up a little more often than using Exclusion Blackwood does. I don't know why. It just seems to, for me. I'll pick up a hand and have a void in it. My partner opens the bidding. How often do we get to slam inquiries? Not all that often, as you can imagine. But there are a lot of ways to show a void without having to memorize all of this. I have given you this one simply because it's very, very precise. Nothing else really comes as close to this, but the quick way, the quick answer here, or the synopsis of all of this is that 5 no trump says, I have a useful void somewhere. Notice that word useful. Generally, that will not be a void in the opener's first bid suit. And I have an even number of key cards. This is a very simple, quick way to show an even number of key cards and a void somewhere. It does not specify where the void is, but it shouldn't be in the opener's first bid suit, assuming that that is not the trump suit. What if you have an odd number of key cards and a void? Then you jump to 6 of that suit. Basically, what all of this means here is that a jump to 6 of a suit over a 4 no trump bid, as long as it doesn't go past 6 of your agreed upon trump suit, says I have an odd number of key cards and a void in this suit. So in other words, after partner bids 4 no trump, if you respond 5 no trump, that says I have 2. It should never be 0. Never, ever, ever show a void if you don't have any key cards. Now, this should be an even number, and it's almost by definition has to be 2, because it's hard to imagine that your partner would be asking for key cards if he has none himself. I mean, after all, he needs to have something in his hand to justify it, and not having any key cards doesn't seem like a good idea to me. So when you use 5 no trump, it should say I have 2 key cards and a useful void somewhere. 6 of any other suit says I have an odd number of key cards and a void here, partner. Hopefully you can figure out what I have by the number of key cards you have, and then knowing that I am void in this suit and not counting it as a key card. For instance, 6 clubs, an odd number of key cards, saying I have a club void if clubs aren't trumps, obviously. The other, it's a void in any other suit because you never go past 6 of the agreed upon trump suit. If clubs is your suit, then you just bid 6 clubs because you don't want to go past 6 clubs. 6 diamonds says I have an odd number of key cards and a diamond void, so long as clubs and diamonds are not the agreed upon trump suit. It has to be a major suit, we've agreed. 6 hearts just says I have an odd number of key cards and I have a heart void if spades are trumps, or I have a spade void if hearts are trumps. In other words, if hearts are trumps, we're not going to bid 6 spades because we would then be forced to 7 hearts, and that's not a place you want to go until you have more information than that. So these are the responses that you can use holding a void when your partner bids for no trump. How often does this come up? Hardly ever. Do you want to use it? You can if you want to, certainly. But only if you're in a very committed partnership and you and your partner agree that these bids would be useful. I had a partner and we had these things on our card for so long and it never came up. And of course, as soon as I took them off my card, that came up and all of that. So if you ask me, there's no way to win with this. But these are for people who like gadgets. As I've said many times, you don't need a whole lot of gadgets to play this game well. You really only need 4 conventions, Stamen, transfers, Blackwood in some form, and the negative double. And you can do quite well if you use only those 4 and know how to use them well. These other things are totally optional. A lot of them are very useful. This one, I think, is less so. Now, here is one last big example here. North opens a heart here. Not a great suit, is it? But still, I mean, looking at that hand, I'm going to open that 1 heart all day long. South bids 2 diamonds, and North says, oh my word, 2 diamonds, huh? I know you have at least 4 of them, and by all rights, you should have 5. So he jumps to 4 diamonds, saying, we have a big fit in diamonds, big fit in diamonds. Now South says, oh, well, all right, I have a really nice hand. I have 17 high card points and 1 for length in diamonds. My partner opened, and I know we have a double fit. And he jumped in my suit. I don't have 2 fast losers or a void anywhere, so he can bid 4 no trump. No worries. West passes, and now North bids 5 no trump. I have an even number of key cards. It's an even number of key cards because he has the ace of hearts and the king of diamonds. And I have a useful void somewhere. Notice this is in an unbid suit, so that is certainly a useful void. If he held no key cards, he should never ever bid 5 no trump, saying I have an even number and no key, an even number of key cards and a void. If you have no key cards, just return to 5 of the agreed upon trump suit. In this instance, don't go out of your way to try to show a void. That's overcomplicating an auction and can get you into trouble in a great big old hurry. Now, there's another way that he can show it. If you don't want to try to remember 5 no trump says I have 2 key cards and a useful void. Rather than bidding 4 diamonds, North might jump to 4 clubs, which is a splinter by opener in support of diamonds. In support of diamonds, he has to have at least 4 and preferably 5, although in responding, unless South is making up a bid, he's not going to bid a 3-card suit. Notice that they also have an 8-card heart fit. But the hand actually makes more in diamonds than it does in hearts, because you lose the queen of trumps you don't. You have to find the queen of trumps to avoid losing a trick in the heart suit. And that's not easy. You have a 2-way finesse here, and you have to try to get it right if you're going to play hearts. But notice if you're playing diamonds, and South is playing, and he has the ace of spades, and then he has the king queen in the dummy, and he can pitch a heart on one of those spade honors and not have any heart losers in his hand. And because his partner has 5 diamonds in his hand, he has plenty of trumps to be able to rough out the clubs. So if you play splinter bids by opener, you can also show I have enough to force to game, partner, especially after you bid 2 diamonds over my 1 heart, 2 over 1 game force. I definitely have enough to force to game, and I have shortness in clubs. Then following 4 no trump by Sal, the 5 no trump call then would confirm the club void with an even number of key cards. Complicated bidding, right? This is a really, really tough auction here. But if people want to know how you bid with voids in your hand when you think you have a slam, this is the way that you go about it, unless you just want to take a flyer and bid it. Sometimes if you don't have the skills to get to a slam in these instances, sometimes you just have to shut your eyes and bid what you think you can make. Occasionally, you'll luck out and it'll be the right call. In my case, I've tried that a couple of times and it hasn't been the best thing. So, Roy, do you have your hand up again?
Yes, I do. This goes back to the use of DEPO, DOPI, and ROPI.
Okay.
Do they have the same meanings whether you play 30-14 or 14-30?
In general, yes, but that's a matter of partnership agreement, Roy, because they just show odd and even numbers, either by doubling or redoubling when you play DOPI and ROPI, or, when you double, you show an even number, pass, you show an odd number when there's min interference.
So that could be this. You don't have to change your thinking, just adapt to even or odd designations by them.
Yes, it becomes just even or odd. You forget all about those step responses to 4 no trump when you get interference. There are some people who have tried to do that anyway, but most of what I've read on the subject says don't do it. Conserve the bidding space. Just double or pass, leaving the maximum amount of space. Maybe your partner wants to punish these folks. If they bid something in the middle of an ace asking sequence, or if they double, maybe you want to leave it in, depending on what it is. There are all kinds of different situations that can arise in these auctions. Not all of them are easy to deal with. And sometimes, even if you're familiar with different options, you have to make the right choice. There's always that element of choice in these auctions. And that's where experience comes in. And there's only one way to get experience, and that's by making mistakes, unfortunately. But that's just the nature of experience, especially in this game. So it'd
be easier just to leave it the same meeting, whether you play 14-30 or 30-14.
Yeah.
Right. That would be easy. Thank you.
I'm a big believer in don't make it any more complicated than it absolutely has to be. And some things are just so complicated that I think, oh no, I don't believe I'll be using that bid or that convention. Like I thought about Gazili for a while, and I abandoned that idea. Don't ask. You don't want to know. It's really complicated, and I can't see that it adds all that much to anybody's game.
Hi, this is Susan. Thanks for watching this video today. Most of these videos come from our free bridge lessons that we present on Zoom every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. If you'd like to join us for those lessons, you can email us at the address shown below, and we'll send you the link. If you can't attend the lessons, then feel free to subscribe to our channel, and you'll be notified when there is a new one added. Again, thanks for stopping by, and we hope to see you soon.